Howdy!
Hello, everybody. We are ecstatic to announce the republishing of Crisis of Conscience by Raymond Franz.
Here it is, friends. The book that we've been waiting for. Yo, man, what a day this is going to prove to be.
Brand new cover. This is a picture of Ray.
Yes, this is the 5th edition.
Yes, very exciting.
And we also have with us, through a pre-recording interview, I guess, Debra Dykstra. So we know that many of you have probably got questions. We kind of thought maybe beforehand what some of these were.
So we're going to let Debra try to answer some of these.
And some of you that have never been Jehovah's Witnesses, you may really wonder who Raymond Franz was. So Debra, would you like to answer that?
I'm filled with joy to report the republishing of the classic work of Raymond Franz, Crisis of Conscience, in a 5th edition, 2018. Well, he was formerly a governing body member of Jehovah's Witnesses for 9 years. In his earlier years, he had served as a missionary for 21 years before being reassigned to Brooklyn headquarters in 1965. Thereafter, as a part of the headquarters staff, he worked in the writing department. Then, by 1971, he was invited to become a governing body member, serving as such until resigning in 1980. Ray knew the organization from the bottom up, serving at nearly every level of the organizational structure. Raymond Franz comes with the highest credentials to share his account of his years spent as one of Jehovah's Witnesses and a member of the governing body.
Now, many might be asking, what is Crisis of Conscience about? So, Debra, take it away.
In Crisis of Conscience, Raymond Franz shares an account that reveals the inner workings and the decision-making processes of the governing body. With the final 9 of his 60 years as one of Jehovah's Witnesses were spent on this central executive council. Those years led to his Crisis of Conscience, which is the theme of his book. It's a penetrating view of the secret decision-making sessions of the Supreme Council of Jehovah's Witnesses, the governing body, and their life-altering power over human lives. His story is both enlightening and educational for anyone that wants to be informed about the history and theology of this organization.
Thank you, Debra. Now, many might be wondering, who is Debra Dykstra and who republished Crisis of Conscience? And what is contained in this 5th edition? I'm telling you, we've had a look at it, and it is an amazing book. And we'll talk more about it after we talk to Debra. Debra?
I am Debra Dykstra, and I am the copyright owner of all the works of Raymond Franz. I am presenting to you Crisis of Conscience, 5th edition, 2018. Within the pages of this edition, you will find the entire manuscript of Raymond Franz, 2008 printing, along with 4 additional parts. The first part that I added is a foreword by David Hincke. He's the author of the Spiritual Abuse Recovery Workbook and founder of Watchman Fellowship. David Hincke is a Christian apologist that specializes in the field of Jehovah's Witnesses, issues of mind control, spiritual abuse, and legalism. The second part I added to the book are excerpts from Raymond Franz's second book, In Search of Christian Freedom. Since there are several references in the footnotes to pages in this book, I have included all 30 of these referred to pages in Appendix B for the convenience of the reader. The third part of the book that I added is Where is the Great Crowd Serving God by John A. Mitchell. He was a former secretary to the governing body. As a secretary to the governing body and member of the service department, John Mitchell observed events during and immediately after Raymond Fran's resignation from the governing body and watched numerous people moved, demoted, or disfellowshipped. As a result, John Mitchell authored a booklet called Where is the Great Crowd Serving God? This is an account of John's observations and his personal research from 1980 to 1981 while serving at Brooklyn Bethel. This booklet has been included in its entirety in Appendix C. The reason I have included this in Appendix C is because Raymond Franz had intended to include it in the appendix for a future edition. That has now happened. The fourth and final part that I added to this fifth edition is an epilogue, the copyright owner's story, by me, Debra Dykstra. Over the past couple of years, I have received hundreds of emails concerning the copyright, my relationship with the Franz, and my personal history with Jehovah's Witnesses. It is here in the copyright owner's story that I answer those questions. I am a former regular pioneer and temporary special pioneer. I share my personal journey of discovering that Jehovah's Witnesses were not the solid foundation that I thought they were, realizing instead that it is Jesus Christ Himself that is the real truth and foundation to life as a Christian. Thereafter, I share how I embarked on a 25-year friendship with Raymond and Cynthia Franz, along with anecdotal stories about their lives. In the manuscript of Crisis of Conscience, Raymond Franz presents a scholarly work without bitterness, anger, or malice, at the same time delivering documentation of the history of Jehovah's Witnesses and the basis for the erroneous claim of authority that the governing body wields. Ray shares in detail his 9 years spent on the governing body, revealing the decision-making process of this powerful Supreme Council that rules over this organization of over 8 million people. Ray's personal crisis of conscience unfolds in 1980 as he served on the governing body. The issues at stake then are still very relevant today, as the claims of being exclusively the only true Christians in the world currently remain the same. The governing body also continues operation with unchallenged authority, making Crisis of Conscience as relevant today as it was when it was first published in 1983. This book will both enlighten and educate everyone that wants to know the history, theology, and basis for the power that the governing body holds.
As many of you have probably already noticed, we have some advanced copies. But I'm sure that a lot of you are probably wondering what other format Crisis of Conscience will be available in and where could I possibly get it. And much to our surprise, friends, it's going to be pretty much available anywhere and everywhere. That's what's so exciting about this.
Let's let Debra talk about it then. Debra?
Crisis of Conscience is about to be released in hardback, paperback, and ebook formatting. The book has now been updated to allow for Crisis of Conscience to be published in digital format allowing it to be available as an ebook, readable in Kindle, iBook, Nook, Kobo, and more. By the evening of March 4th, 2018, Amazon has promised to have available Crisis of Conscience in Kindle. Subsequently, Crisis of Conscience is planned to be available on Amazon in print between March 6th and 9th. Nevertheless, I have not stopped with publishing on Amazon, even though they are the quickest to put the book up for sale. The process of making Crisis of Conscience available has now started to move through distribution channels to encircle the world. Within 2 to 8 weeks, you will find Crisis of Conscience available in one market after another in the United States, Canada, Europe, Asia, and Australia, just to highlight a few. By mid-May, I expect Crisis of Conscience to be available to 40,000 outlets worldwide, as well as universities and public libraries. Once again, I must say that I am filled with joy to present this great work to you.
Now, Debra, I know some may be wondering, what does the future hold for other publications of Raymond Franz? Because we know this wasn't the only one he did.
Right.
So we'll let you answer that one.
I am very sorry to report to you that in the midst of my joy, there is also sadness. Along my journey since working on republication of the book, I have endured the heartache of my husband's declining health and fight for his life. On May 11th, 2017, my darling husband, Dan Dykstra, lost his battle for his life, and he died. He was not well for a very long time. The past 2 years of his life were especially hard. Yet every day I had with him was a treasure. I feel I lost the love of my life and a great man. As grief-stricken as I was when Dan died, within days of the funeral, I went back to work on the task of republishing Crisis of Conscience, knowing how very many people can and will benefit from this book. Now that it is republished, I am asking people to give me some time and space to grieve my darling husband Dan. I need to get beyond the 1-year anniversary of his death, and in light of how I am feeling, I will probably take the summer off for myself as well. After that, I assure you, all that who are interested, that I am dedicated to republishing all of Raymond Franz's works in multiple languages. However, for now, I wish you well, and I hope you greatly enjoy Crisis of Conscience, 5th edition, 2018.
Debra, we are so sorry to hear about the death of your husband, Dan. And what little we talked to him on the phone, he seemed like an amazing man. And, you know, we would have hoped to have had a chance to meet him.
Yep.
And thank you for answering all these questions. And on a personal note, I just want to mention that just a few things about, you know, the new book. And, you know, she's already mentioned what's in there. And an amazing foreword by David Henke,
Yep.
because he talks about spiritual abuse. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to do a spoiler.
Yeah.
You know, don't want to spoil it. And you have to read Debra's story at the end. Because it's so funny. At one point, it's like, boy, he has a weird hobby collecting Watchtower literature. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Yes. So,
But-
friends, the wait is over. The book is officially available. And we just hope that everybody can make good use of it.
And you notice it is thicker. It is 608 pages, I believe, because of the added features. And there's some photos in here that have never been seen before.
Right.
And it's an amazing book, and I hope everyone has the chance, you know, whether in the ebook or the printed copy, you know, to enjoy this classic once again. And it has been wonderful becoming friends with you, Deborah. You know, just a personal message.
Yep.
Thank you so much for everything, and thank you for allowing us this privilege of being the ones to announce this.
What a privilege. Thank you so much, sister, for this privilege.
Yes.
It really touches our hearts.
Yes. Yes. And it's great because the best part of all of this is we've become friends and made some new friends. So thank you. So hope you enjoy, everybody. And you won't have to wait a month for this one.
Nope.
So love to all. Bye.